All right, so you're a first responder. You get it. You did everything right, but you still feel a little off somehow. You don't know what it is. You run towards chaos for a living, yet when the shift ends, the noise in your head just it doesn't shut up. You're functional, you're reliable, you're definitely respected.
And the next day, it was first time in my life I saw my bus going and they didn't run for it. So I was late for work that day, and I thought since I'm that late, I might go outside one stop early and get some coffee and a bagel. And I got out from the subway one stop before, which is like one long building. And it was just right before 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mm.
And at that time, our tower was just hit. And I mean, like first there were very little, but then it was like a river flow, and, they were going in and out. And I just stood for a little bit, enough to see and realize that, that people were so desperate that they would jump. So when they opened up the roads, I got in my truck and I drove to Colorado.
Mm.
And I didn't go back to New York City for 10 years. And I didn't get a chance to go to the World Trade Center site until this February, so 24. And at 7 o'clock at night, I found out that everyone got out. Like, fortunately, our company, that everybody was out. We had a visitor in our office, a guy who was not supposed to be there. He was an intern at a company. Our bosses were friends, and that company ran out of space, so they sent him to our office to watch what we do. So this guy opens the bathroom when the plane hit the building and the fire was going down the shafts. It blew out the shaft and he got hit with the fire inside of the bathroom. So he turns around, he runs back into the office, and he runs in and he's like, guys, there was a bomb in the bathroom, because he does not know what was going on. And they said they just picked him up on their shoulders and they walked on heads of people. They said they just walked on their heads. Like, we always thought that if anything would happen, it would be really hard to get out, because like this, it was built before people were thinking about making wide staircases. The fire code was different. So like you and I, we would have a difficulty going together next to each other. It wasn't wide enough. So like imagining like the firemen had to go in with the hoses, with the equipment, with everything. Right now I work with amputee veterans, combat veterans, because unfortunately I have such a large access to them,
Okay.
It's just this little plastic bag over your head. It has a few strings and you're sitting in the backpack. There is no fuselage. There is no engine. It's a free flight. I want to do to other people what he just did to me. I came to the States. I got a scholarship to the National Sports Academy at Lake Placid, and I could live there. I could learn English. They fed me, and I could ski. They said, here's a pair of skis, all the free time, you just go, if there are lights on, you can go. And I got hired by a company in Texas. And meanwhile, because my office was in the World Trade Center and the office was destroyed because of a terrorist attack, I was classified as a displaced person, and the Red Cross sent me a check for $15,000. And as you know, like when you were born in the place where you live, you always have friends, family, you have an extensive circle. But when you cut that off and you move across the ocean, you don't have that fallback option. So you always like my friend says, Lubim, you always drive in the second gear. you never shift up. You always ready to go. Ukraine was really the biggest challenge of my life. President Obama signed a law called Foreign Assets Tax Compliance Act into a law. And that was for all the Americans living abroad. It was a nightmare because it came with criminal responsibilities, and there were cases that people were getting like civil penalties. So the fines were more than the amount of the money. They said, we will withhold like a 40% penalty on all the money that you spin around in US dollars.
That's crazy.
But because they didn't somehow mail or whatever, it was lost. He was under that Foreign Assets Tax Compliance Act. He was looking at prison time, and It took like
What?
7 months, man. Yeah, $600,000 in fines in 7 months. It was mad. And my plan was I was going to go door to door. I was going to take my book and I was going to go to door to door to all the US embassies and say, hey, look, we have this huge issue. And Americans are, and it was really, I was sitting in the embassy and I heard people saying, look, we heard about this Foreign Assets Tax Compliance Act, FATCA. Like, what do we do? Like, how do we become compliant? And the embassy would be like, oh, yeah, you can go to the irs.gov. And they're like, oh, it's like a website, that's it.
Nobody wants to go to irs.gov.
And then they say, can you tell us, how do we like give up our US citizenship? I heard that, man. And I was like,
Wow.
whoa, this is like for real.
Serious.
Because people were really, people were scared. And I knew how to, like, we needed to do it now. I figured, look, there were 9 million Americans living abroad. If I get 1%, I made like $26 million.
It takes a long time to get those skills and humility to say that I need to listen more than I talk. And for anybody who's watching or listening to this podcast, don't be that guy, but you're going to be that guy at least a couple times before you realize you're that guy. And it's just listen, you know.
And the goal is to scare them, literally scare them to death, so they forget for a moment that they're missing like a leg or two there. And they, after the amount of trauma and noise they've gone through, they just want to sit there, and you know, somebody will always sit with them, even if they want to sit till the morning. But I thought, like, what does it take to take an amputee from like being really depressed and sitting at home to like bring him back to life? So like you realize, like, because we cannot see that somebody is suffering, it doesn't mean that everything is great. You know, this photo, he was not supposed to be in this picture, and he was not supposed to be in this world, you know. They're kids, they have not seen much in their life, and then war came to their home and it took them out of their home, and they did their job, and now they have nothing to do.
I'm sorry, I'm getting hung up on amputee soccer team. I'm just, in my mind, I short-circuited, dude.
The biggest issue besides losing a leg is losing a leg above the knee. The knee is responsible, stand up, get out, jump, run. So he did not have a knee. And this new $75,000 prosthetic leg, it has sensors, it has AI. And putting it in the words of our youngest volunteer is 5 years old. And she said, when he comes back with this new prosthetic leg, he says he can jump, he can ride bikes, and he can swim just like us. I crunched the numbers and I saw that I come in many times less than charities spend in operation cost only. What the number that you named is what they spend per person in operations. It's the oldest paragliding site in the United States of America. And they have a flying chair. So if you have like a double amputee, or you have somebody who has limited mobility, in Torrey Pines, we can fly them now. And I can get results a lot better than, you know, organizations that have hundreds of millions in the bank. But long-term results, I get a lot better results because, you know, nobody really tracks what happens to a guy who participated in something a year later or 2 years later.
A lot of the people get stuck because they're anticipating a trigger that maybe does or doesn't exist. And so if you can, you know, help them reprogram past that, visualize the move forward, visualize what they're going to do when certain things happen, you can preempt a lot of those things and get them moving forward even before those stimulus before the stimulus triggers them. It's a lot of good work moving people past their stuck states to see what they want to hit, see their goals, and be able to actually achieve them.
It takes priority over everything. But it tells you about, you know, I think one of the things that you think about how you get big things done in life, you know, like when you're starting out, you got to push through stuff and you got to carry that energy, you know, sometimes 10 years, 20 years. You just got to keep doing it, you know, just got to keep working on whatever you're working on.
Perseverance, man. And so I have no doubt that for Wings for Heroes, or you're going to get out to a 12-month program in Turkey, and whatever you have planned for that organization worldwide, I think you're going to be able to accomplish.
So by law, we are required the minimum that 50% of the profits has to go, to whatever public benefit we provide. In my case, it's service to veterans. I price them plus $40 from cost. So if I sell 100, that's 1 month of rehab, and
Yeah.
all the money that all the profit goes to rehabilitation. It doesn't service. There's no admin. There is nothing added on it.
Look, $4,000. If you got $4,000 burning a hole in your pocket, and you're looking to really bless a veteran, first responder, if you're really looking, send it to Lubim. There's nowhere you're going to get a month of programming for somebody who has experienced a traumatic event and who needs to, and who's trying to figure out a way forward. Coaching, psychology, jumping off cliffs and flying 3,000 feet high. I mean, look, all this stuff is, you're not going to be able, for a month, $4,000, send $4,000 to Lubim. Doing a backstroke with a prosthetic leg?
Oh, no leg. They took it off. And when they came, one of the volunteers said, "Look, what is the one thing that you cannot do at home?" And it's like, "I cannot ride a motorcycle since this, since the amputation." Said, "I tried and I keep falling."
Wow,
and, this guy shows up in the Indian, and we take him out. And this is our, in Turkey, they get only 1 day off. And that's everybody, all the volunteers showed up, which I think one of the big accomplishments is that they even show up on Sundays.
Getting that escape velocity is the same whether you're building a business or you're building, a group or a nonprofit or whatever it is. It is the foundation of it, and getting enough momentum to where it's.
Yeah. I know, I've been around long enough to understand that everybody has an idea, but the idea is it's worthless.
Right.
Like, until you put it to action and show that it works and people can see the results.
Right. And it's only a matter of time before Wings for Heroes is soaring, so to speak.
And I could not help in any other way. I could not say thank you. And, you feel obligated to help, because how can I not, out of all the people who is on this planet,